everybody, it's about 6:30 in the morning and I'm at Cape Henlopen State Park today, and I'm gonna hike one of my favorite trails, the Pinelands Nature Trail. It's really beautiful here, a very beautiful coastal environment with sandy dunes. So there's one of the fire towers over there. We may climb that when we're done. Right, so just a little PSA here. Ticks are so bad this year in Pennsylvania and Delaware. So you can see I've got my socks pulled up. I've treated my boots with permethrin, and I'm just trying to cover up a little more today, even though it's going to be about 90 degrees. So it's definitely going to be a hot one today. They're saying about 90 here, and that's a lot by the coast. So I just thought, well, I'm going to get up early and go for a hike. I really wanted to do that. And this is such a favorite trail of mine. I haven't hiked it in a long time. So I have really not been filming as much this summer, and that's just because it's just been very busy. So I'm teaching my 16-year-old to drive. He's got to drive for 6 months in Pennsylvania and so many hours before he can actually get his driver's license. So it's just a lot of time teaching him and getting him up to those hours. And then also my daughter's home from college, so we've just been spending a lot more time together as a family. And it's kind of been nice because I had videos. I had such a backlog of videos from the spring, so I've got videos set all the way through the summer, and I really haven't been filming that much, little things here or there, but it's been a really nice break, which is great because you never want to get burnt out with YouTube. Really great thing about this time of year, so it's still June, the bugs really haven't come out in full force here. So I did bring my bug repellent, but I haven't needed it yet, which is really nice. So you're going to be going through sandy soil on this trail. Obviously lots of pine needles, lots of pine trees, hence the name of the trail. I think because it's so hard to mark where the trail is with the pine needle floor, they're using kind of like old branches and things to help you mark your path here. So you can see a lot of broken trees, especially pine trees in this area. So normally by the coast, they don't get that much snow, but in the past couple years, they've had some pretty intense snowstorms. Last winter, a lot of heavy snow landed on the trees, and this trail was actually closed for a couple months, and that's part of why I haven't hiked it, because they had so many downed trees. If you've ever been to this park on a weekend in the summer, you know that it can get really, really busy, especially the beach area. Sometimes they actually have to close access, but getting up super early like this is just amazing. I'm the only one out here today. So you sometimes have to work a little harder in the summer months when everyone's out enjoying themselves to find those moments of solitude. Might have to get up a little earlier, but it's worth it. So let's talk about the length of this trail. This is a 1.8 mile, so nothing long. You know, the sand does slow you down the littlest bit, but not too bad. So this is a great family hike. You can bring the kids on this one and things like that. So I think I spoke too soon about the bugs. They are starting to bite me. I've learned from experience, don't go on these coastal type trails without the bug spray in the summertime because they can really be intense. There's a particular video for the Walking Dunes Trail that makes me laugh. It's my husband and I, and by the end of the hike, he just had, they weren't biting him, but like he was just covered in these huge gross flies, like hundreds of them on his shirt, and he was a very good sport. He was a really good sport. He let me film him and we were laughing. And then the other thing is when you get to know an area, you know there's just certain trails you do not go near in the summertime. For me in the summer, that's Burton's Island in Delaware Seashore State Park. It's such a beautiful little hike around this little island, but you don't go there in their summer. We've tried it a couple times, even like with netting and things like that, and you will just get eaten alive. One hike, my kids and I and my husband, we like ran to get off the trail. It was so bad. So be sure to let me know in the comments, how has your summer been? What have you been up to? How have conditions been where you are? Are the bugs really bad? What's the drought like? So around here, we're dealing with drought again. Very, very bad. So it's really taken a toll on my garden. It's just so hard. I mean, you can water every day, but it just doesn't give the amount of, I don't know, you can supplementally water like I do, but compared to the soaking the ground gets for a good rainfall and when we're not at like a deficit in the water table, so it's a tough year. So I'm out here by myself this morning. Couldn't persuade anybody else to wake up at 6 a.m. and drive to the park and hike with me. So, but I get it. It's they do share my enthusiasm for the outdoors, my husband, my kids and stuff, but not the same level of enthusiasm. Like they were like, oh, it's gonna be 90 degrees today. I don't want to get up that early. So I get it. One of the things I really love about the summertime is just the greenery. After you've hiked through the winter and just that brown dull season, especially in the early spring, when everything is green in the summertime, it's just such a burst of color. It's so nice to be out here and just see all this green. As you can see here, there are little berries on this. So maybe this is a wild blueberry. Yeah, and you can just see how many more blueberries are going to ripen along here. Depending on the type of hike I'm going to do, it really changes what I wear. So I'm just wearing like an exercise type top that I got off Amazon, and then I have on some leggings, and of course I have my wool hiking socks pulled up over the leggings, and that's just an easy way to seal the gap for the ticks. And for me, I don't mind too much having my arms out. It's pretty easy to do a tick check on my arms or hop in the shower when I get home. But especially when it's going to be 90 degrees, sometimes I just can't deal with being fully covered up. It just gets too hot. So this is a good compromise to protect my legs, my ankles, have all that sealed up, because that is going to be one of the more likely places that you may find ticks on you. And then of course I can do a good tick check on my arms. So I've been doing quite a bit of biking this summer. So one of the things my husband and I decided is that we just, I ride my bike a lot. He doesn't always ride his. And now that the weather is so nice, we just said, you know what, like once a week, let's make sure we go for a bike ride. So we've been doing that. It's been really nice. And I find that when I do something like that consistently, I get stronger and a little faster every time. So that's been really nice. I haven't been filming too much of it because a lot of times we're just riding the same trail. We're basically getting out there for exercise and build our endurance and things like that. But it's been really nice and trying to take advantage of this summer weather while we have it. So if you've never been to Cape Henlopen State Park, I have a few recommendations. So if you come here, I think you really would enjoy the Fort Miles historic area. You can tour a museum here. You can climb up in an actual fire tower and see an amazing view. I'm gonna probably do that after this hike. Obviously the beaches are beautiful here. Another favorite spot of mine is Herring Point. It's kind of like a dramatic big sand dune that looks down. They've actually filmed some TV shows here because it's so beautiful. There is a section of the beach that you can drive on if you have your surf fishing permit or if you have the right vehicle. I have neither of those, but I do like to look out and see people. I think how cool that must be to go down and surf fish. They have a really nice fishing pier, although it is aging. They have some sections closed off with a fence in the middle of the pier because the pier is deteriorating, but it's a really great spot for beginner fishermen taking kids fishing. It goes out pretty far, and we've caught things like spot and croaker. We've caught flounder, but they weren't big enough to keep. Another thing you might like is they have a nature center, and this is a favorite. When my nieces and nephews are down the shore, I take them here and they love it. Touch tanks, horseshoe crabs, cute little nature store. And one of the best perks of the park is the bike barn. So you can go in the nature center, leave your ID, and you can borrow a bike to bike on the bike trails. The bike trails are beautiful here. They're paved. You can go down to Gordon's Pond section. You can bike the bike loop, which is a paved loop. So a family can borrow bikes, even with like a bike trailer to put your kid in the back, or like if your child needs, if you need a baby seat or things like that, or they've got all different types of bikes for all different types of people. Borrow them for free as long as you promise to stay in the park. They don't want you to like bike to Lewis or leave the park. They've got to stay in here, but it's a really great perk. And then of course there's some other really great trails. You've got like the Seaside Nature Trail, walking dunes where the bugs can be a little bad in the summer, but yeah, there's just so much to experience here. There's camping, obviously. I do believe they have a few cabins for rent or cottages. I don't think they have bathrooms in them, but the campground section always looks pretty busy, and I have heard from people that it's hard to get a spot here because it's so in demand. So here's another one of those down trees, and you can just see the massive root system, all the sand, and then look underneath it. The soil is just so sandy. So you can kind of see here some deer hoof marks. It's hard to tell with the sand, but there's two that way. So deer must have come through here. So one thing you might have noticed, I support a lot of different YouTube channels. I have a lot of YouTube friends. I watch their content, I comment on it. I'm just a little bit busier in the summer, so it's taking me longer to watch everything. I don't certainly have time to watch everything. So if I'm a little slower in watching and commenting on your videos, be patient with me. When summer's over, everybody's back in school, I've got a little more time, and I'll get back to my regular routine. But for now, I'm just kind of enjoying the extra time outside, enjoying my family, and I'm on YouTube a lot less in the summer. And of course, if you want to see more videos on Cape Henlopen State Park, head over to my channel page. I've got a bunch of biking, hiking, fishing, that kind of stuff, so be sure to check it out. All right, so we're back to where this trail split, so we're just gonna be backtracking. All right, I just unloaded my backpack and we're gonna go over to the tower. We're gonna climb some steps and I'm gonna show you the view. So you can see a couple people up there now. The views up here are really pretty, especially if you come in the early morning like I am, or in the evening. They're really neat. I'd say climbing the tower is a little dark and a little kind of dank feeling. It definitely isn't as neat as climbing a lighthouse, but it kind of has that feel with the spiral metal stairs and things. But it is pretty cool because when they build these have exceeded their lifespan. They've stood for much longer than they ever thought they would, and it's a really nice way to get up here and just get a bird's eye view of the park and the coast, and you can see Fort Miles from here. And there's also another tower you can climb in Delaware Seashore State Park, kind of by Tower Beach, so that's another option. So it's definitely windy up here, but it feels amazing after doing the hike and how hot it is today. So if you ever want to see a great view and you're in Cape Henlopen State Park, be sure to climb the fire tower. So thanks so much for watching my hike and climbing the fire tower. If you find yourself in Cape Henlopen State Park, be sure to check this out.